Hello and welcome to the Paris Fintech Forum Communities Programme. I'm Elliot Godkin, I'm a journalist and with Laurent Nisri, co-host of this exclusive video interview series produced with the support of Solaris Bank, Rise and BPI France. Now, we talk a lot here about the huge financing rounds raised by fintechs over the past 18 months or so, but there are a number of startups designed to help earlier stage companies raise money and enable investors to find them. One such company is OneRagtime. Its founder and CEO is Stephanie Hospital, who joins me now. Great to see you, Stephanie.
Yes, great to see you, Elliot.
So OneRagtime, it's kind of like a crowdfunding platform. How would you describe it?
Well, I would describe OneRagtime as a fund, as a platform, as we digitalize everything to enable investor to access to either club deal dedicated to one single investment or to the fund that is doing all the investment. The way we have designed it is that we wanted to give easy access to early stage startups, and the fact that we have the club deal is really a trigger to have smart money and people invested not only with their money but also with their network experience to really help our portfolio company. And we start at seed stage. We focus on the very early stage tech companies that we will follow then with the Series A and the Series B. So our idea is really to be a multi-stage VC platform.
And how do you choose the startups that you add to your platform? What is it that you're specifically looking for? What kind of, symbols, signs? Is it the founders? Is it just a gut feeling? What does it take for you to kind of bring one of these startups onto your platform to invest in it, along with obviously your investors?
So clearly, when you invest at early stage, the funding team is crucial. So the first thing is that you want to have a very talented, resilient funders able to start a company but also to scale it. So we will look at the funders. Then we will look also at the market, the tech. We love to have tech-enabled project, and we also, pay a lot of attention to the distribution model. So we do not like the very, intensive in terms of capital model. We love when you have, for example, a partners enables to market your offer for. If you look at Plus Simple, which is a digital insurance broker for SMBs. They're selling insurance, but they're distributed by all the insurance company. So this is exactly this type of model that we're looking for. As for us, the way we source the company, is of course with our network and with our community of investors and entrepreneurs, of course with the team, and like classical VC, we do rely a lot on the direct connection, but we have also developed AI to help us to source the company, and we've been the first company, the first fund in France to be registered as a jeune entreprise innovante. So like traditionally the startup would be for all research on how the data and the algorithms could help us to source the company, or at least to make sure that we see everything at early stage.
And the name OneRagtime, where does that come from?
Well, the ragtime was a music coming from France, in fact. C'était la danse du quadrille, and it was imported to New Orleans. It becomes the cake cup, where the people in New Orleans were using that, and then it becomes the ragtime. And the ragtimes become then blues and jazz. So we want to back technology founders able to become international. With the French touch, of course. And this is also ragtime, the code name for the NSA program Prism, and we're focusing on data too. So we wanted to have something different. We see us as a different VC. We love not to be like the others, and this is why we're also looking for atypical funders.
And I noticed, in your search for atypical founders, it says you talk about vetting 4,000 startups every year, holding 550 face-to-face meetings in the process. Obviously, COVID would have perhaps prevented you from carrying out a lot of those in-person meetings over the last year and a half or so. Did you find doing the process digitally, a help? Did it help you do things faster and more efficiently? or was it a hindrance because you couldn't really take the measure of the founders that were asking you for investment?
Well, I mean, we had to do some pure Zoom investments. So, for example, we invested in a company for the first time, the first phase of the COVID, named Fidem, which is doing a scoring for loans and a profile of loaners. And this company was very early stage in Marseille, funded by an Israeli founder, by the way, and the Dutch founders, but in Marseille. And we literally didn't meet them in face-to-face before we closed the deal. But before sending the money to them, I wanted to see them in face-to-face. And it was unique for us because you would have asked me before the COVID, should we be able to do a pure online investment? I would have said certainly not. And then it opens opportunity. Of course, face-to-face connection and meeting the people, seeing the feeling of the team is important. But we've seen that with COVID, we could do differently, and we adapted.
And of course, you're on the board of many of the companies that OneRagtime has on the platform. I think I counted on LinkedIn, you're on the board of 25 companies or something. How on earth do you find the time?
Well, we are pretty well organized. I mean, in the team, I always have one of my team members, and it's a team today of 25 people taking care. I mean, we have a mix between tech people because we're building the platform, tech, product, data, AI, design, and the business team. So whenever we invest, we had a board observer in my team. I take the board seats, and we have also one of our investors advising the company, or two or three. And then we process things. And at very early stage, I mean, it's the board is important, but it's more the legal way of formalizing some activities. When the company grew up to Series A, Series B, I mean, it's different, and then we have a more different dynamic for the boards. But yes, I mean, and today we're expanding, so obviously I will have a part of my team members now also taking boards.
And I think you started your career as a business consultant before spending something like 13 years or so at Orange, the mobile telecoms company. How did you manage to transition from the kind of corporate world, if you like, to becoming an investor?
Well, I was bold. I wanted to be an entrepreneur, and looking at the project I could do, I said, okay, I've been to Israel. I mean, there's plenty of VC funds to the US. And I was not seeing in France and Europe a model like our crowd. I thought that there was an opportunity also to build something where we bring the power of the tech and data to have a scalable model together with a community of investors, entrepreneurs, and where we could be very much more operational than what I saw from the investors I had the chance to meet in France and in Europe. So this is why I decided, okay, it fits very well with what I did when I was a corporate. I mean, of course, it was super bold. And the two first years were a big challenge for me. And then finally, we made it. And today it's clear that after 4.5 years of active investment, we're extremely proud to have back already 30 company, to have our first double-digit unicorns, and to be able also to give back already money to investors, as we had three exits, 2 partial and one exit. So. And then you see, okay, we made it. We made it to the first phase, but now we have to scale the model because we really want to be able also to go further in the way we back our portfolio company, to be able to lead also the big Series B. So this is why we are preparing a late stage opportunity funds to be able to follow up much more. And we also want to expand more in Europe.
Right, and of course, you went from the corporate world to investing, and now you're a founder in your own right. So, what kind of different feelings of achievement? What kind of different skills do you find yourself having to deploy when you're investing versus when you're actually running a company?
Well, I mean, it helps me a lot in my day-to-day job as an investor because I have empathy for the founders. I've been to the same journey. I went from the corporate world, Orange. I had a very nice position at Orange as a top executive, very easy position, I would say. And then one day you end up being alone in a room with a white paper, and you have to build everything to convince your first employee, to convince your first shareholders. I raised a little bit of money. I mean, I didn't, we applied to ourselves what we had to the founders, the tech platform, the community, the frugal model. But as for me, I didn't want it to raise too much money. So I did a limited round. And then I really have to invent the model. I mean, and the most difficult part was to convince the first entrepreneurs. You're starting and you say to entrepreneurs, okay, I'm going to back you. I come from the corporate world. I have the chance to be surrounded by amazing people like Jean-Marie Messier with my co-founders. I mean, the former CEO of Vivendi, now a very successful investment banker, to Patrick Seyer, the CEO of Euraseo. I mean, those people trust me to help them in their investments. So you can rely on me to be the best investor for you. And the beginning was really hard to attract the talents and the founders. But as a matter of fact, our first investment, Jelly Smack, it was the first club deal we did. They trust us, and now it's a unicorn. I mean, and it's a 600 people company. So that makes us very proud. I mean, at least and we've been able to do that and to really attract funders. But that was the most challenging part. And of course, the investor part is always a challenge.
Sure. Well, look, Stephanie, don't go away because we're going to take a very quick break, after which we're going to continue our conversation with OneRagtime founder and CEO, Stephanie Lhospital. Welcome back, and don't forget, if you're not already a full member of our community, everything you need to join can be found at www.parisfintechforum.com. Now, Stephanie, I've got a few more questions for you, so let's kind of use these last few minutes to talk about kind of the ecosystem in general. As an investor and a founder who helps other startups raise money, I imagine you have a pretty good view, particularly of the French tech ecosystem. How would you describe it right now, and how has it changed in recent years?
Well, it's the scale-up nation. I mean, it's incredible to see how much talents, bright founders, successful company we've been able to build in 10 years. So the landscape in France changed dramatically. I mean, we already have 5 billion invested over the first 6 months of the year. I mean, for me, I mean, this is not the most important part. I would prefer to focus much more on the success in terms of development, revenue, new model, and we have many unicorns now. I mean, and again, for me, the unicorns matters when it comes to have a real company. As I explained you, Elliot, we're not big fan of big fundraise. We're big fan of big developments. And when we see the ecosystem today with company like Content Square, Jelly Smack, we have, clearly being able to crack the model in France. And I'm very proud. I'm also board member of France Digital, and talent is something very important for us because we would be even better if we're able to attract international founders starting their company from France, and it's starting to happen. So it's also a very good model. And now when we see some developments with, Station F, the biggest incubator in Europe. Station F has been a magnet also for the international community, because it was the symbol that France could be big in terms of tech. Of course, we put everything right in terms of ecosystem. And thanks for BPI, because BPI clearly has been good for that.
Sure. Look, we're unfortunately running out of time, so I just want to ask you, democratizing investment is something that has been gathering steam in recent years. You mentioned OurCrowd, there's Crowdcube, Primary Bid on a slightly different level, giving better access to IPOs. How can mere kind of ordinary investors be sure that the deals they're seeing either through OneRagtime or OurCrowd or any of these others, how can they be sure that these, are the kind of cream of the crop, and it's not like the VCs are still keeping the best ones for themselves and the leftovers are coming on these, platforms?
Yeah, clearly, as I explained you, as for us, we see us as a VC, as a platform. So we are, normally at the seed stage or a Series A. Or competitor or co-competitor. I would prefer that terminology. Could be business angel or other venture fund. And so when business angel leverage people like us, they know that we see many deals, more than 4,000 projects per year. We have a methodology to assess the company. We have a network to support the company, and we have everything to help them at very early stage, and it matters a lot. This is the moment where founders need help, and we could do that at scale because we have also the technology to do that, the platform. We do due diligence. Whenever we invest, we do very in-depth due diligence, financial, legal, tech, with our own developers, business, of course, reference call with the founders. And then we follow the company because we are the board, because we monitor them, because we give reporting to the business angel, and we have VC terms. So it means that it's much more protective for the business angel.
Okay. Thanks for explaining that, Stephanie. Unfortunately, we have run out of time, so I really just want to thank OneRagtime founder and CEO Stephanie Lhospital for taking the time to join me today. Thank you.
Thanks, Elliot. Pleasure, and see you soon in Paris.
I hope so. And I'll be back again next week with another big name from the world of finance and technology. We do hope everyone watching will be able to join us again then. In the meantime, you can keep up to date with all the exclusive interviews and content from the Paris Fintech Forum Communities Programme via www.parisfintechforum.com. See you next time. Bye-bye.